Last episode, we ran the archetype diagnosis on my mum's brand and found out her buyers are actually the Gazecatchers. If you haven't seen that yet, go back and watch it because today is built on top of that. Now, what we're doing is going into the back end of her Etsy shop. I've got access to the data, so I can see actual stats, visits, sales, where the traffic is actually coming from. I want to cover 3 pillars. The first is the listings. So we'll discuss images, titles, descriptions, and how they line up with the archetype. The second is the deals and discounts, what she's running and how often, and whether it's actually working. And the third is the traffic source. So where are these people coming from? We're going to go through 3 specific listings together. Some of this is a bit uncomfortable because, unfortunately, a lot of what I'm seeing doesn't line up with the Gazecatcher's psychology. But that's the whole point of the audit. Okay, so let's get the screen sharing up. Okay, so this is Mum's page. Now let's read the first listing, the sterling silver tie clip for men. Handmade, type in for groom, dad, usher, hammered or smooth finish, wedding or formal gift. So I can see you're trying to condense a bunch of short tail and long tail keywords, and I get why you're trying to appear for as many people as possible in search. But let's think about this from the buyer's side. If someone searches Father's Day gift and they see a title that says sterling silver tie clip for men, handmade type in for groom, dad, usher, there's a bit of conflict in their mind because the listing is trying to be for everyone.
Oh, so yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so like here's the thing that's battling us. There's 2 sides to this because there's the Etsy SEO side where you want to appear in search, and there's a psychology side where the title needs to align with the buyer's psychology and what they're actually looking for.
Yeah.
And right now the title is optimized for search, but it's not optimized for the buyer. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, so let's look at the images. The first photo, I can see a gentleman wearing the tie clip. His hand is in the frame. That's actually quite good. It's an in-life photo where you can see it being worn. Then the second one, there's a video of you making it, which is nice and insightful. And then there's a couple of more cushion. Now, I'd probably put these towards the bottom and I'd bring the lifestyle images up because as a Gazecatcher, first impression needs to be the product in context, not the product on a surface. I also noticed the images all have the same style, which is actually quite nice to see. It's the same person in the image. It's not chopping and changing between the different models. Consistency is nice to see basically at this stage. Right, now let me go into the back end of Etsy. This year so far, this listing has had 136 visits and 3 sold. Now, something that's a bit annoying with Etsy's backend is they'll let you know how many visits and how many sales you've had, but they won't tell you where the sales have come from. So I can see the traffic breakdown, but I can't see the actual purchase and where they've come from, which is a bit unfortunate. But what I can see, Etsy searches is only about 19% of the total traffic. So most people find this tie clip are not searching for it. They're finding it through the Etsy app, other Etsy pages, and that's telling me something. The people landing on this are likely cold. They haven't searched for the tie clip, they've just stumbled on it. And that matters because a cold audience and a warm audience need completely different messages. If someone searches for a silver tie clip, they're warm, right? They're in the buying stage. But if found through Etsy Picks, they're cold. And a cold Gazecatcher needs to feel something before they'll ever consider clicking. That's a much harder job for the listing to do. So this is something a lot of Etsy sellers don't think about. Not all traffic is equal. Someone who's searched for a product is warm. They're looking for a product to buy. But someone who's landed on your listing through Etsy Picks or other Etsy apps, they're cold traffic. They're browsing. They haven't identified a problem yet. Now, in the archetype framework, that's the difference between someone who's at the unaware stage and someone who's at the product aware stage. And the message that works for one doesn't actually work for the other. If most of Mum's traffic is cold, the listing needs to build awareness. And right now, the listings jump straight to the here's specs, here's the price. That's fine for a warm audience, but for cold traffic, you've lost them before they've even scrolled. Okay, Mum, so next one, let's pull up the toe ring, the adjustable crystal one. There it is. Now, this one's interesting because it's got 14 people within their basket right now. And that's quite cool to see. But at the same time, you'd hope that if 14 people had it saved, there'd be more purchases.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah. So let me go into the stats here. This year so far, you've had 239 visits and 9 sold. Now that conversion rate is actually below your shop average, which is a bit unfortunate. You've got the interest, you've got 14 people in the basket.
It is a seasonal thing as well, so it's possibly that.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be that, we're just heading into the season for it now. So, and this is where the Gazecatcher psychology comes in, because when the Gazecatcher adds this to their basket, but they don't buy, it usually means one of two things. Either they're not sure if it fits their look, or there's not enough around the product to make them feel confident in purchasing it. And that's £7.95. It's not the price that's the barrier, it's the feeling. Now, look at the traffic source. Etsy search is only 11%. Most of the traffic is coming from Etsy app and marketplace. So again, a cold audience, people who are browsing, not searching. And for the cold Gazecatcher landing on the toe ring, the images need to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Now let's look at the images. If I can go back to it. Okay, so what can you see here, man? What do you think?
Well, the first image is showing the toe ring being worn, which is very important, because sometimes if you just show a picture of the item, some people haven't got the imagination to understand how it's going to look on their foot. So a live image is much, much better.
Yeah, okay, I want to make a point of that, but most of your pictures here are like product shots. You can see these ones here. You've got 4 product shots. It's clean, but only one photo is with a model at the top.
Yeah.
There's no beach, there's no summer vibe. And the thing about who's buying a toe ring, you just need them to picture themselves wearing the product on holiday, in the summer, on a beach. And the listing doesn't give them that picture. Now, look at this title: adjustable toe ring, crystal toe ring, foot jewelry made with crystal Swarovski elements. It's a keyword list, and I get the SEO reason, but when a Gazecatcher reads that, it sounds like a catalogue. It doesn't sound like something that's, going to make them feel anything. And here's the thing that's actually battling us, because we've tried the low competition keywords in the past, and unfortunately, it just didn't work. The traffic didn't come, so we know we need the search volume. We also know that the title needs to feel aligned with what the buyers is searching for. If someone types in summer beach jewelry and they see Swarovski crystal elements, it doesn't really match. There's a disconnect in their mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
All right, here's the real tension between Etsy SEO and buyer's psychology. On the Etsy SEO side, you want keywords in the title people are searching for so you can actually show up in the search results. On the psychology side, you want the title to feel like it was written for the person that's reading it. And right now, most of Mum's titles are optimized for search, but not for the buyer's psychology. They're packed with keywords like Swarovski crystal elements and sterling silver. And yeah, those might actually help with search, but when a Gazecatcher reads a title like that, it sounds like the supplier's invoice. So the test we're gonna run is this: can we rewrite the title so they feel aligned with what the buyer is actually searching for? Like elegant summer toe ring or sparkly beach jewelry, and still rank in the search. Because if the search term the user types matches the title exactly, there's an instant alignment. They believe that the product is for them. Right, last one. Let's pull up the Rivoli earrings. Am I saying that right? I'm Rivoli.
Rivoli, yeah.
Yeah, I always call it ravioli.
No, Rivoli. Is that the best one I've got? Let me see the pictures. Keep going. Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, cool. Now this one's different because I can see the first image is actually on the ear. So that's actually good. There's a person, there's context, and you can see what it looks like being worn. But unfortunately, the rest of the images are back to the product on a surface, as you can see. I remember we did these images and they were, they look good, but they don't actually align with the Gazecatcher. Now let me go into the stats, which is actually quite interesting. This year, over 1,000 people have actually visited, but 18 sold. That's a much higher conversion rate. That's very good. But look at the traffic breakdown. 72% of the traffic is from Etsy Marketplace. Search is only 2.1%. So Etsy has basically identified this listing as a good option and is pushing it to people, which is great, but also means almost none of the traffic is coming from search. Now the title is earrings made with Swarovski clear crystal elements, 14mm Rivoli drop earrings, sparkly dangle earrings, wedding jewelry gift. And there's one bit in there that I quite like: wedding jewelry gift. That's an in-life event. So someone who's searching for a wedding gift, there's a real moment, but the rest of it, 14mm Rivoli, no buyer is searching for that. That's a crystal shape, and it's like a maker's language. So now, Mum, let's look at the reviews on this listing. Okay, so Eric says beautiful, and they certainly do pop. Let's find some more that are good. Jewellery says beautiful and fashionable. I'll insert a couple other comments here on the screen. Doris says just what I wanted, a cross between pink and peachy. Beautiful. Now, Mum, look at what the reviews are saying. Nobody's mentioning 14mm Rivoli. Nobody says excellent lever back mechanism.
No.
They're all talking about how it looks, how it catches the light, and
Yeah.
how fashionable it is. That's a gaze catcher's language. Your customers are literally telling you what they care about. Your customers are writing better sales copy in the reviews than what's in the listing itself. And that's not a dig, honestly. It's actually great news because the language we need is already there. We just need to move it from the bottom of the page to the top. This is the bit that made the whole audit click for me because Mum's reviews are full of Gazecatcher language. The customers are telling you exactly what matters to them, and none of that language appears in the listing title or description. Now, if you're an Etsy seller watching this, go read your reviews, not for the star rating, but read the actual words. What are your customers saying? What language are they using? Because the language is gold. That's the listings covered. Now I want to talk about something else. Deals, discounts, offers, whatever you want to call them. So how often are you running discounts on the shop?
If I see sales are dropping a little bit, which they tend to drop towards the end of the month, I'll put a sale on, which gives it another boost before the end of the month.
Okay, fair enough. But here's the thing, like, remember in the marketing funnel we talked about in the last video, for the Gazecatcher who's never heard of your brand, a discount does not create urgency. It creates suspicion because they're thinking, why is this brand I've never seen trying so hard to sell to me? Now, at the most aware stage, someone who's been on your page multiple times and they have something in their basket, yeah, a discount will nudge them over. But we've got to be careful when and how we use it because a Gazecatcher doesn't want to feel like they've got a bargain. They want to feel like they're making a smart, tasteful choice. Discounts can actually cheapen the perception of the product. I also want to look at the bundles. Are you doing any bundles on the shop at the moment?
No.
Okay, so bundles can work really well if they're framed as a curated set, not buying two, get one free. That's for a different buyer, such as the Blazewalker, but something like the complete evening look or the bridal collection. We'll look at this properly in the strategy stage. Okay, so the third pillar is the traffic source. Now, I've already touched on this throughout the videos, but I just want to pull this together a bit better. So across all three listings, the pattern is the same. Etsy search is a tiny percentage of the traffic, and most traffic is coming from Etsy Marketplace, Etsy Picks. Now that matters because search traffic is warm. Those people who have typed in keywords, they're looking for something specific. They're in the buying stage, but Marketplace traffic is cold. They're browsing, they haven't identified a need for the product yet. And the cold Gazecatcher needs a completely different approach than a warm one. So we've got two problems to solve here. The first is, how do we get more search traffic? Because that's where the warm buyers are. And two, how do we make the listings work harder for cold traffic? Because that's what we're getting the most of right now. And this is something we'll dig into in the marketplace research. I want to look at what people are actually searching for and what competitors look like, where we can find the keywords that have decent volume without insane competition. Because from my experience, we've tried the low competition route before and unfortunately it didn't work. Right, Mom, so just to put this together, three problems keep showing up. The title sounds like a catalogue. They're packed with keywords, but they don't speak to the buyer. And the customers are literally using better language in the reviews than what's in the listings. The Gazecatcher needs to see the product in the life, on a person or in a moment. The tie clip is the closest to getting this right. The rest needs a bit of work. And the traffic is mostly cold, so the listings need to do a double duty. Build awareness and desire. Does that make any sense? How does that feel?
You write listings, you think you're describing the item, you think you're trying to talk to a customer with that, but a lot of times don't realize that I'm actually not talking to a customer. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mum, the product is class. Like, honestly, nearly 10,000 sales and you've been on Etsy for 13 years. That's not just luck. The product is proven. We're just going to fix how it's presented to the brain that's buying it. Now, that's the Etsy audit. Now, the next step is the marketplace research. I want to look at what mum's audience actually is searching for and what the competitors are actually doing, because we can't fix the listings without understanding the marketplace. After that, we'll go into strategy, and that's where we'll set up the listing change tracker so mum can actually document what she's changing, because right now she's editing things, moving on and forgetting about it. And if you're not tracking changes, you can't know what's working. If you're watching this and think, I bet my listings have this problem, the diagnosis is free. It will tell you in 2 minutes which archetype your buyers are and what they need to see from your brand. Link is in the description. No email is needed. I'll see you in episode 4.